Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Patriarca. I'm the mayor of Pemberton Township, and with us today is Dave Benedetti, the Director of Community Development. Dave also acts as our zoning officer, and he also oversees the Division of Code Enforcement. Today we're going to talk a little bit about property maintenance and how the lack of can affect your community. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what your office does?
I'm Director of Community Development. I have a master's degree in planning, and I've worked in municipal government as either a planner or as a community development director for the past 30 years.
And your office does not just do planning, but other functions, correct?
Correct. My office does planning, zoning, code enforcement, rental registration, vacant property registration, and the construction code enforcement, otherwise known as the UCC code in New Jersey.
And the code enforcement end of this, the duties within your office, that is part of the property maintenance code of the township, correct?
Correct.
So would you say that the property maintenance of has a direct impact on the health of the community, and if so, in what way?
Well, it certainly does have an effect on the community. If a resident doesn't maintain their property, take the trash out, keep the grass cut, it can cause problems with rodents, rats, mice, and whatnot. And it also, if they don't take the trash out or take it out properly, that can also attract those rodents as well. You know, even rats, sometimes other more wild animals such as raccoons.
So I know your office receives complaints on a regular basis from various residents throughout the town, and I receive them in my office also as a mayor. So I also see the impact being the neighbors themselves getting upset over that one property in the neighborhood that is not maintained, and that also would affect the health of the community, because now you have neighbors disputing against each other because of property maintenance.
Sure, it can affect the health of the community in multiple ways. It can affect the community's health from a literal health standpoint. It can also affect the community on a social standpoint, where you wind up people literally getting into fights over things that seem to be, at the outset, is rather trivial or silly. But to them, at that moment, it is, in fact, very, very serious, and you can have two residents appearing before the municipal court judge on a regular basis because they are in such a they're just stuck in that battle, one against the other. They also can have a financial impact on a neighborhood because it can suppress the values of the properties if they're not maintained. And if you have that one property that is boarded up, dilapidated, and a mess, it does not help the property values of that area.
So currently, we have 3 full-time positions here in the township for code enforcement officers, and our construction official also acts as a code enforcement officer on a part-time basis, which is more enforcement abilities than we've ever had here in Pemberton Township. And we still find ourselves challenged in enforcing these codes throughout the town. Can you walk us through the process that a code enforcement officer takes to identify code violations and the steps that are taken to ensure that the property owners make the changes to correct the violations?
Well, it is true that with 3 full-time code enforcement officers, that's more code enforcement officers than I've had in any other town that I had. But this is a very large town, large municipality, it covers a big area, and we are very spread out. Now, the code enforcement officers are responsible for geographic areas of the municipality, and they are responsible to respond to complaints that could come in from online on the resident request line that they could submit through the township webpage. And they are responsible to go patrol the town, their geographic area, and identify any violations that they can see. When they identify a violation, they are to send that property owner and/or occupant, if it's a rental, a notice of violation with what the violation is, what the code violation is, the actual municipal code, and what needs to be done to correct that violation. Usually, it is also accompanied by a photograph of the violation. So they then have a set time period to correct the violation, which is usually 10 days. If they do not correct the violation within 10 days, there is a summons issued to municipal court.
And the individual, the violator, would then have to come to court and, of course, plead their case to the judge, and if found guilty, then they would receive fines, correct?
Correct.
And does that then mean they don't have to maintain that property because they've got a fine, or does?
Oh, it does not. It does not. I mean, if you have been issued a notice of violation for example, if you received a notice of violation for not cutting your grass, and so later you get that notice of violation in, say, May, and later in the summer, say July or August, you haven't cut your grass again. You are going to receive a summons without a notice of violation because you have already been notified that you have to maintain your lawn. You got that notice of violation in May. That violation, so you are aware of the ordinance, and then you should be maintaining your property on a regular basis.
So once that individual is given a notice of a violation, which is essentially a warning, then the warning step is removed on future violations.
Correct.
And you can go directly to the violation
Summons.
portion, summons, and bring them into court. And that could happen as early as the next day after court if they haven't taken care of that problem.
If the problem is serious enough that they have not done anything to correct the violations, that could happen, yes. And if that carries over for 12 months. So if you get a notice of violation in May of 2019, that carries over to May of 2020. So by ordinance, you have 1 year, we can do that for 1 year from the time of that notice of violation.
So now in the township, we have a number of vacant properties. And these properties sometimes tend to get behind in the outdoor maintenance on the properties, and they start to get run down. I know we've taken steps here in the township to address that with vacant property registrations, making the responsible parties for that property now register and identify themselves. How are we dealing with the vacant properties in code enforcement, and are we identifying the responsible parties, and have we enforced on code violations on vacant properties that say maybe owned by the bank?
Well, we've enforced vacant property registration ordinance on anyone that owns a vacant property. Banks and outside of New Jersey, entities like a bank or someone that's outside of New Jersey, has an even higher standard to meet, because there are more, the fines for them are higher. And we have had some banks pay penalties of up to $10,000. And we pursue them as diligently as we can, but sometimes with the way that the financial markets were working in the early 2000s, it gets very difficult to sort out who is responsible, because banks have been taken over by so many different entities and multiple times. But we are pursuing vacant properties. We have pursued individuals, and we are noticing that the foreclosures have tailed off quite a bit, and many of the homes have been reoccupied by either sales or rentals in the last 2 years.
And we're noticing this because we're seeing less properties on our vacant property registration list, correct?
Correct.
And we're identifying them as now being occupied.
Yes,
So the process is working, slowly, but it's working, and it is bringing residents into these homes. Okay. Well, that's just a little bit about our property maintenance codes here in the township. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to learn more about the property maintenance in the township, you can go to our webpage at the bottom of the screen, and you can look up the E-code section of the webpage, or you can go to the Department of Community Development, and you'll find information there. Or you can contact the departments directly. Dave's office is 609-894-3330, or you can call administration and reach out to me at 609-894-3315. Again, thank you, and look forward to speaking with you on more issues here in the township in the future.